Welcome to This Explainer. Behind every single visionary CEO and every wildly successful product launch you see out there, there's this hidden, complex engine literally holding the whole operation together. Today, we're tearing down the walls to look at the invisible architecture of strategic HR and employee engagement. A lot of times, we look at thriving organizations and, understandably, we praise the flashy stuff, the visible elements of their success. But there is a deeply strategic foundation operating right beneath the surface. We're going to dive into exactly how that architecture is built, how it operates, and why it is, without a doubt, the absolute true driver of ultimate team success. So think about this for a second. What would you say is the most misunderstood role in modern business? Seriously, think about it. For decades, there's been this old school, frankly, lingering stereotype about human resources. A lot of people still kind of think of HR as, just the folks who process your hiring paperwork, chase down your late timesheets, and reluctantly organize the annual office holiday party. But honestly, in today's landscape, that perspective is entirely obsolete. The actual reality of modern HR is way more dynamic, it's deeply strategic, and it's incredibly demanding. To truly wrap our heads around this, we need to completely reframe how we look at the HR manager. Instead of just an administrator, I want you to picture a master architect. And this architect doesn't just draw up standard blueprints. They wear an astonishing number of hats, 17 of them to be exact. They use this massive, multifaceted toolkit to construct something that's totally invisible, yet absolutely critical to the very survival of the business. So let's break down exactly what makes up this crazy toolkit, starting right at the foundation. First off, the HR manager has to be a master tactician. They need elite multitasking abilities just to survive until their lunch break. Picture this. In a single hour, they might be hunting down top-tier recruitment talent, recalibrating the entire company's compensation structure to make sure everyone's treated fairly, and then stepping in to drive some critical training initiatives. Throw in the constant, never-ending stream of performance evaluations and the overarching pressure to keep the whole organization running smoothly. You've got a rapid-fire, endless flow of tactical execution. It's literally the bedrock of the company. But get this, that is only the beginning.
Because they can't just stay bogged down in those tactical weeds. They have to be able to instantly pivot to high-level strategy. We're talking stepping right into the boardroom to negotiate, diffusing super complex problems, and spearheading massive change management initiatives when the company needs to, say, completely shift its trajectory. They have to apply deep business insight and a laser-focused strategic orientation to actually steer the ship alongside the executive team. They aren't just sitting back reacting to the business. They're actively shaping its future. And on top of all that, they act as the organization's moral compass. They're out there championing ethics and fairness, modeling continuous learning, and fostering this deep sense of teamwork through flawless communication and just profound dedication to the people. Okay, let's just take a deliberate pause right here. Take a breath. We literally just listed 17 distinct, intensely demanding skills ranging from tactical daily organization to sky-high strategic insight, all wrapped up in a deep commitment to collaboration. That is an overwhelming amount of responsibility for one single role to carry, right? So, with these 17 demanding skills constantly in motion, what's the ultimate endgame? Why on earth is this massive engine working so hard behind the scenes? Okay, let's dive into this, because the answer is the absolute lifeblood of any company. Every single one of these skills, the cause, if you will, is designed to generate one very specific effect. They're designed to create fuel. And that fuel, it's employee engagement. The research gives us a really beautiful definition for this. Employee engagement is an emotional attachment to work, to colleagues, and to the organization. Now, remember, you are likely an employee in this equation yourself. Think about your own day-to-day workplace experience. This isn't just about punching a clock and collecting a paycheck. It's about a real, felt, emotional connection. That emotional attachment is the true secret weapon that all those 17 HR skills are sweating to cultivate every single day. Now, what's really interesting about this comparison is how directly this emotional attachment dictates physical reality. When you have an engaged workforce, when that emotional tether is genuinely there, you see a high willingness to learn and an incredibly high willingness to perform. The output just naturally skyrockets. On the flip side, if you've got a disengaged workforce that's lacking that emotional connection, well, that results in a stubbornly low willingness to learn and a low willingness to perform. The whole organization essentially just stalls out. So the absolutely crucial takeaway here is that this level of engagement isn't just a nice to have, it's an actual, measurable source of competitive advantage. But, and this is important, it doesn't just happen by accident. To turn engagement into a real competitive edge, our HR architect has to build 4 structural pillars: a laser focus on culture, consistent reinforcement, precise metrics to actually track progress, and strong performance alignment so that absolutely everyone is pulling the rope in the exact same direction. But how does an architect actually build those pillars in the real world? Let's take a look at the actionable, day-to-day blueprint. Here's how those 17 skills hit the ground running to build that engagement day by day. First up, you have to introduce variety. You've got to keep the work dynamic so that the willingness to learn stays super high. Second, stop wasting people's time. Every single meeting must hold genuine meaning. Third, use that strategic insight to optimize deployment, meaning you're putting the right people into the exact right roles where they can shine. And finally, maintain fiercely open communication across all levels of the business. No silos allowed. But it goes even deeper than just a structural blueprint. Growing true engagement requires a deeply personal touch. It means actively understanding employee interests and actually taking the time to celebrate success. And this brilliantly illustrates why those collaborative skills we talked about, like fairness and dedication, are so undeniably critical. When HR and leadership take the time to align the company's broader goals with an employee's personal interests, and when they publicly recognize and celebrate those wins, it acts as the ultimate catalyst. It cements that emotional attachment to colleagues and the organization. Really, everything we've covered today culminates in one simple, pivotal truth. Engagement grows through consistent support. And I really want to emphasize that word consistent here. Building a competitive advantage through your people isn't some one-and-done administrative task. It's not just a box you check off during a new hire's onboarding week. It's a continuous, supported journey, one that requires the relentless day-in and day-out application of all 17 of those HR skills just to keep that emotional attachment strong. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a rather provocative thought to chew on. Take a look at your own workplace. Look at the invisible architecture surrounding you right now. Is your organization truly engaging its people? Are they actively fostering that deep emotional attachment through consistent support and strategic HR practices? Or are they simply just managing them? Because I promise you, the difference between those two things is the exact difference between a company that merely survives and one that absolutely thrives. Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive.